I'm Sherry and this is Wesley and this is Gardening in the North. Today we're going to share with you some tips and tricks on seed saving. So before we show you some tips and tricks on seed saving, we thought that we would cut into our very first sugar baby watermelon. And I don't mean just our very first this season. This is the first watermelon that we have grown yet. So it's quite exciting for us. We've had it in the fridge for 2 days, and Wesley thought it would be a great idea if we cut into it and tried it with you. Looks good, eh?
Yep.
Okay.
It smells good too.
Does it smell good? You know that one. Well, that is really good.
Seeds are different in this one.
So, with watermelon, if you want to save the seeds from the watermelon, you're basically just going to take the seeds, you spit them out, take them from the cutting board as you cut them, and put them on a paper towel. Write down on the paper towel what kind of seed it is. So we would just put this down here. Find my marker, and I'm going to write sugar baby watermelon. And then we're just going to put our seeds on it. They are very slippery. Awesome. I want to talk about seed storage. You should be storing your seeds in a cool, dark area. And that can be in the bottom drawer of your dining room cabinet. It can be in your closet. It can be wherever you choose it to be, as long as there's not the potential for moisture. You don't want any kind of moisture getting in or around your seeds, because that potentially could cause your seeds to germinate. One of the things that I do is I store my seeds in this picture storage box. And I got this off of Amazon. I think it was $35, maybe $37 at the time that I purchased it, and I can put the link down below for you. But basically it has a handle with all of your individual boxes inside, and this allows me to carry it around the house depending on what I'm doing and where I'm going to be looking at my seeds. And it also allows me to have all of my seeds separated into different types of seeds. So I have containers for tomatoes and lettuce and cucumbers and peppers, and basically I'm able to add or remove the seed packages from each of these boxes that I wish to. Now, one thing I want to talk about is not only the container that you store your seeds in, but the actual method in which you store your seeds in. Now, there are some varying opinions on it. Some people save their seeds in plastic bags. Some people save them in envelopes. I saved seeds once in plastic bags, and I didn't have a very good experience. I had saved some squash seeds, left them out on a paper towel on a plate on the counter for about a week. Felt them, they felt fairly dry to me. I thought that it was safe. I placed them into the little tiny craft bags, plastic craft bags that I bought at the dollar store. And I think I made up around 10 bags in the hopes of using them for seed exchanges. Wrote on them, had them all put aside, and probably in about 5 days, I noticed that I had mold growing on them. Now, I didn't have those seeds in the direct sun. They were in a dark place and I happened to go in there and I pulled them out and there was mold on them. So for me, I find that the paper envelopes seem to work best. I find that if I were to leave seeds out on the counter for a week and then put them into these bags, I don't get mold. And I don't know if it's that if there is even a slight bit of moisture in the seeds still, the paper soaks it up and I don't get mold on my seeds. So I just wanted to share that with you. Again, I got these envelopes on Amazon as well. I think when I reorder them, I'll probably order ones that are only half the size. These are a bit big. They still fit in, you know, the 4x6 little individual boxes, but they are a bit big. So I want to show you these 2 cucumbers that I grew. They are the hybrid burpless cucumber from Ontario Seed Company. And so this is the package here. And so I want to talk a little bit about the differences between the hybrids and the heirlooms, very high level. And what I want to tell you is the differences between these two essentially is the length of time that they've been around. So an heirloom seed is much more stable, and the seeds normally are passed on through generations and generations. And every time you plant that seed and you grow that fruit, you're going to get that particular fruit that you grew. Now with a hybrid, what that essentially is they've taken 2 different varieties and they have cross-pollinated them to get this particular fruit. And so what that means is that when I take the seeds out of one of these cucumbers and I plant them next year, essentially what I could be getting is a fruit that looks like the mother or the father plant and not necessarily like the burpless cucumber that I purchased originally. And so keeping that in mind, you can for sure save seeds. So I'm going to save seeds from this because I think that it's fun. It's fun to plant seeds that could provide you with the cucumber that you enjoyed, or it could provide you with something different. And so it's a bit of a, experiment out in your garden, and I think it's kind of fun. So I am going to save seeds from this. I'll probably save a couple handfuls of them and see if any of my friends and family want to try that as well. I will not use these for any kind of seed exchange because they're not stable enough. I would be then giving somebody seeds and saying that they're the burpless cucumber when essentially that's not what they would get. Now, let's talk a little bit about how you can get a true seed. So when you have an heirloom and you want to save seeds from that heirloom, you need to protect the flowers on that heirloom. So if we're talking about tomatoes, I grew the Old German this year from Ontario Seed Company as well. And they are an heirloom. And so one of the things that I did with this plant, well, I planted 6 plants, but one thing I did with one of the plants is I tied a mesh bag around one branch of flowers just before they were going to open up. So I knew that they hadn't been pollinated yet. I put the mesh bag around it, cinched it tight, and every day I would go over and just kind of flick the bag, give it a bit of a shake so that it could self-pollinate the flowers inside that bag. As soon as I saw that the tomatoes were starting to grow, I pulled that bag off of those flowers and I actually tied that bag around that branch so that I would see it and know that that branch with those tomatoes were the tomatoes that I could save and potentially use in a seed exchange if I wanted to. So I just want to show you what I've done with my Old German tomato seeds from that tomato. So I cut the tomato up and collected all of the seeds that were on the cutting board. I put them into this jar and then filled it up with water, probably about 2.5 days ago now. And every couple hours, if I came into the kitchen, I would just pick up the jar and kind of move it around, give it a shake so that the water, or so that the seeds and that mucus that the seeds sit in, or that gel-like stuff, would start to separate. And so you can see that that has happened. If I bring it up real close. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop that top layer off, because that is your gel stuff that was in the tomato, and any seeds that are in that area are not viable. They have floated up to the top to indicate that they're no good, and so we don't want them. So I'm going to pull those out, and then I'm going to pour this into a strainer. I'm going to rinse it out, and then I'm going to place it onto a napkin and leave it out on the counter until they're fully dried. And then I will place those into one of my envelopes and store it in my storage box. Okay. So you can just see that this is all of the gel, phlegmy stuff. I'm going to try my best to get all of that stuff out, all of the ones that are floating, because again, those are not going to be viable seeds. And those are not the ones that we want. Okay. So now I'm just going to pour it into the strainer. You can see the seeds in there. And then basically I'm going to dump them out. I'm going to make sure that I spread them out. You want them into a single layer. And you always want to make sure you label it, especially if you're doing others. I just wanted to touch briefly on the fact that I had my old German tomato seeds fermenting in this jar without the lid. You do not want to put a sealed lid on your jar, because there are going to be gases that come from the fermenting process, and you want to make sure that they can be released. Now, if you don't have an area where you can put your jar so that it can go through that process and you can leave it there for 2 or 3 days, then some of the options that you have are something like this. It's just a lid for like a ring, a normal ring that will go on a wide jar. And it has like a little silicone lid. And so you can just come along every couple hours or a couple times a day, squeeze the little nipple, and the gases that are in that jar from the fermenting will come up and out. And so that's a really good idea. The other thing you can do is you can just twist this lid right on. It's a fermenting lid. It has the holes in it to release the gases naturally. So there are a couple options for you if you can't leave your jar on the counter. Okay, so I have an orange cherry and a chocolate cherry, and I thought that I would show you how I scoop out the seeds, place them into the jars, place water in the jars, and then put it in an area that's not going to get direct sunlight. So you're just going to dip into that area where you see all of the gel and the seeds. And there the seeds are, and I'm just going to drop it right in there. When you save seeds from a cucumber, the process is the same as a tomato. You're going to be scooping out the seeds with that gel-like substance that's in there, that mucus that's in there. And you're going to be putting it into a jar with some water, and you're going to let that ferment for 2 to 3 days. You're going to swirl it around every couple hours or whenever you walk into the kitchen, the same way you would do with a tomato. The only difference is when you take seeds from a cucumber, you want to make sure that it's at the most ripe it can be without it being rotten. And this is a prime example of that. So had we picked it at this stage, the seeds may not be as viable, or the germination rate may not be as high as with this particular cucumber. So these are the ones that we're going to use. Now, I did post this on Facebook, and somebody did mention to me to use this as a stir fry. So to scoop out all my seeds and then throw it into a pan and stir fry it. So that sounds kind of interesting. So I might do that for dinner tonight. Okay, so let's just cut into this. Okay, and so here's what the inside looks like. And so I'm just going to scoop that out and put it into the jar and then add water. So before I cut it up to saute it quickly up in the pan, I thought that I would actually try it, because if it doesn't have that bitter taste to it, I may cut some of it up for my kids for dinner as well. The skin is a bit tougher. I feel like this would be a good cucumber if I remove the skin and just cut up the inside of it. Other than that, I don't taste a real bitter taste. Now, I know when you grow some cucumbers and you grow them beyond what they should be, you get that bitter taste, and I'm not getting that from this one. I don't particularly care for how hard the skin is, so I will remove that, but I'm really glad that I tried it, because this is a huge amount of fruit that, you know, may have gone to waste. I wanted to show you what I've already done with a jalapeno pepper. Now, pepper seeds are different. They don't have that mucus gel like that the cucumber or the tomato have. So you can actually cut open your pepper, take the seeds out, put them onto a napkin because they're fairly dry already, and then just let them sit out for, I usually say a week, because I like to err on the side of caution than lose any of the work that I've put into it. And so again, I just write jalapeno on it, and I have all my seeds there, and I just leave it on the counter. I leave it under this cupboard here because it doesn't get any direct sun. Okay, so I'll just put that there. The other seeds that I want to show you are from a squash plant. So from the spaghetti squash in particular. So I'm just going to cut it open, and I want to show you the difference from the tomato and cucumber. Okay, so this is the inside of a spaghetti squash. So you can see how big the seeds are. And really all you're going to do is pull those seeds out and place them onto a napkin. And again, the same as the pepper, you're gonna let them sit out for about a week and then store them in a cool, dry place. And I'm just gonna show you here. There you go. So I'm just lightly pushing with my finger, and they're just popping out. So easy. I want to show you how to save seeds from mustard greens. I don't know if any of you have ever had mustard greens, but they are amazing. We grew some this year and put them in every single salad that we had, and they just kept growing and growing, and we really just would, you know, cut a couple leaves and then they would grow back. We'd cut some more, they'd grow back. When the plant starts to go to seed, and it grows a stalk, and then there are seed pods that grow off of it. You want to let those seed pods dry out. And so this is a really good example of that. So this is what it would look like. And it will just grow right out of the mustard green plant. Okay, and then what you're going to do, so in every single pod that you see on here, there is probably anywhere from 7 to 12 seeds. So you can imagine how many mustard green seeds I have here. And I only brought in 3 of them today. I have a couple plants out there that have a ton of these on them. So I won't ever have to buy mustard green seeds again. The other plant that I want to talk about is dill. With a dill plant, it will set off flowers, which then will turn to seed. And I just want to show you, I've cut these ones off so you could see the ends are the actual seeds. And they come off so easy. And I can't even stress how easy it is to seed save. They come off so easy. And I know that I have stressed in a couple other videos that I've done that we don't know what this fall or next spring is going to look like in terms of the seed availability. And so I can't urge enough that if you have plants out in your garden that you normally would just let them go to seed and then rip them out and throw them in your compost or whatever you would do with them, take the seeds. Because you may be in a situation where everyone is rushing to get seeds this year, and the one seed that you wanted, you can't get. Now, I know that everybody likes buying seeds. Let me tell you, when that seed catalog comes in, it's like Christmas for me. I actually sent away this summer for a seed catalog, and my whole family thought I was crazy the way I danced around when it arrived. And I'm not even purchasing seeds right now. But what I can tell you is that you may have somebody that you meet along the way that doesn't know when to buy their seeds. And when they go to purchase seeds, there might not be the kind that they need. And you might have them because you saved your seeds. So I would just suggest that you have a backup. Why not save them so you have a backup plan? So I just want to show you all the seeds that I've saved in this past half hour. So you can see all the dill seeds. I didn't remove all of the squash seeds. I just wanted to show you how easy it was that they come out. The mustard green seeds, so tiny. And I've got tons that I can still pull out of the little pods. The jalapeno pepper seeds, the burpless cucumber seeds, and we have orange cherry, chocolate cherry. We have our sugar baby watermelon, and then my old German tomato seeds. Thank you for sharing your time with me.